The Dodgers have estimated that Vin Scully has broadcast over 9,000 games in his 67-year career behind the mic. Think of how many have been against the Giants. And for that reason, a plaque was mounted today in the press box for Scully's final call.
You and I have been friends for a long time, but I know in my heart that I've always needed you more than you've ever needed me. And I'll miss our time together more than I can say. So this is Vin Scully wishing you a very pleasant good afternoon wherever you may be.
And a short time back, I had the privilege of interviewing Scully, and I asked him how he got his start in the business.
Red had a football show that involved 4 announcers, one of whom fell ill, and he remembered this kid from WTOP in Washington. I suddenly was rushed into the breach to do the basketball game. Then I did another game. Then that winter, Ernie Harwell left and went to the Giants, and Red thought of that kid, and et cetera, and I went down on a 1-month option. Either I made it or I'd be fed to the alligators.
Kirk Gibson's home run. It was a killer for us in the Bay Area, of course, because it came against the Athletics.
High fly ball into right field. She is gone!
What's your recollection?
Well, to me, it was probably the most theatrical home run that I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of dramatic game winners, walk-offs, etc. But you remember, Kirk was in the clubhouse, and we had gone to commercial. I was doing the game with Joe Garagiola, and we went to commercial, and during commercial, I had an idea, so I asked the producer, I said, when we come back, I know you're busy on the phone talking to New York, but I said, please listen to me, and he said, sure. So when we came back, there was this shot of the blimp overhead, and I said, if you were here in the ballpark, the first thing you do now in the 9th inning is look into the Dodger dugout. Wham! They took a shot of the dugout. And then they panned the dugout. And I finally said, if you were looking into the Dodger dugout, obviously there's no Kirk Gibson, so obviously he's not going to play. Well, meanwhile, in the clubhouse, Kirk is sitting on a table with 2 bags of ice on each leg, and he suddenly is touched by this moment on television, and as he said later, he hollered to the screen, fertilizer, Scully, and got up, sent the clubhouse boy down to tell Tommy that he'd be there in a minute.
So the moral of the story is, if the producer in the truck doesn't show the shot in the dugout, Gibson never sees it, and he never...
It might have been my greatest contribution to the team, the fact that he referred to me with fertilizer. I think that was the word he used.
But you called the greatest call in 49er history.
Montana looking, throwing in the end zone. Clark caught it! Dwight Clark!
Yeah, that's right. That was a big thrill. Working with Hank Stram and Joe Montana and Dwight Clark and Dallas. And yeah, it was a great moment, wonderful moment for me. And on that game, it was so good feeling to me that when I got on the airplane, I said, you know, I quit. I quit football. I made up my mind that was such a good game to walk away on. I didn't want to do another game, so I didn't.
The 88-year-old was born in the Bronx and grew up in New York long before the Giants and Dodgers moved west.
Remember this, I grew up in the bleachers in the Polo Grounds, and I confess, because confession is good for the soul. I was a Giant fan, something outrageous. My hero was Mel Ott. I cried if Carl Hubble lost a game. However, they pay me now, and I'm a Dodger fan. Not really. I try very hard not to be a fan anymore.
Is this exclusive? That people knew you were a Giant fan?
A lot of people, I'm sure, knew that. Oh, yeah, I've mentioned it as a small boy who didn't know better, you know.
You know, that was one of my most enjoyable moments interviewing Vin Scully. And as we were doing that interview, there was a couple people in there in that press box at the beginning, and slowly, one by one, more people came in. And 15 people by the end were enjoying Vin Scully's story. Great moment. We'll be back to wrap it up after this.